Is that ready? Yeah. Denise, you ready? All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to tonight's very special council meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, and it is 7:10 p.m., and I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. At this time, if I can please have a moment of silent meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please have roll call.
Mayor Cubillos.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Councilperson Mathis.
Present.
Councilperson Roman.
Here.
Also present for the record, Councilperson-to-elect Urbums, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Castilla Alu, Village Manager, Norman Powell, Interim Village Attorney.
At this time, I have a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion for approval.
Motion's been made by Councilwoman Roman. Is there a second?
Second with an addition.
Yes.
The 85,000 drawdown.
H2?
F3. No, H2, yeah.
And can you repeat that, please?
85,000 drawdown. $85,000 drawdown. Sorry. For the septic sewer project.
85,000 draw down. May I get a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment?
Motion to approve the agenda with the amendment.
Motion's been made by Vice Mayor Nickerson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Mathis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, our agenda will pass this evening. May I get a motion to approve from the council, if you had the time to review the minutes from March 26th?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Uh-huh.
Madam Mayor, I have, there were a lot of things that weren't correct on it, so I'm going to go back through, because like, for example, for that meeting, there was a mix-up between, they had, for everything that was me, they had you for like the first 4 pages. But then like, in the other pages, some were back and forth. So I'm gonna
Okay,
go
so
through
can
it.
we table it to the May meeting?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I want to say thank you, and thank you all for being here. Tonight, we have a special evening. We are going to be swearing in our new councilperson-elect, Anders Urbum, and then we will be swearing in our Chief of Police, David. You know, I told the manager I was going to be calling you M. Magnuson? Magnuson, perfect, okay. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and swear in councilperson-elect Anders Urbum. She's going to get some first.
All right.
Do it here so we're not going to hurt it. You guys speak pretty loud. Okay. If you can raise your right hand, please. I, Anders Urbum,
I, Anders Urbum,
being duly sworn by the Mayor of El Portal,
being duly sworn by the Mayor of El Portal,
do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution
do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution
and government of the United States of America
and government of the United States of America
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state of Florida
that I am qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state of Florida
and charter of the Village of El Portal,
and charter of the Village of El Portal,
and that I well and faithfully will perform the duties of councilperson to the Village of El Portal, Florida,
and that I will well and faithfully execute the duties of the Village council of the Village of El Portal, State of Florida,
which I am about to enter.
which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Congratulations. She'll have you sign this. Okay?
Okay, you got it.
Do you guys want to come down and take a picture? Sorry. Norma, you can join us if you like. You're all matching with our manager. Manager is so nice. We're all in blue and gray here. Swearing in. Okay, and Norman, since you have a nice balance, oh, stand over here. And cover these ugly plots that we have. And then afterwards, we'll get mommy and the little ones up here. Want a picture? Yeah. Get the kids up.
Oh my goodness.
That's for them, right? Come on, girls. Nay. Oh, boys.
No, there's a boy.
Yeah, no, then the boys.
We're kind of there
But
soon.
usually. Nay, come on in. Come on, Nazarene.
All right, don't worry about him. He's looking to get back. It's fine.
He doesn't like to look at the camera. No?
Okay. Hold on.
Congratulations, you all. Now I have the honor of swearing in our new chief, David Magnuson. Please join me. Yours is a little longer. Raise your right hand. I, David A. Magnuson,
I, David A. Magnuson,
being duly sworn by the mayor of El Portal,
being duly sworn by the mayor of El Portal,
do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will defend and protect the Constitution of the United States of America
and of the state of
and
Florida,
of the state of Florida,
that I will, in all respects, observe the provisions of the Constitution,
that I will in all respects observe the
provisions
provisions
of the
of the
Constitution of the state of Florida, and charter of the village of El
and
Portal,
charter of the village of El Portal,
and that I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
perform the duties of chief of police to the best of my ability,
perform the duties of chief of police to the best of my abilities,
and will faithfully discharge the duties in which I am about to enter.
and will faithfully discharge the duties I'm about to enter, which I'm about to enter.
I do further swear or affirm
I do swear and affirm
that as chief of police,
that as chief of police,
I will faithfully serve and protect
I will faithfully serve and protect
to the best of my
to
ability
the best of my ability
all citizens regardless of race, color, or creed.
all citizens regardless of race, color, or creed.
I accept by the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics
I accept by law enforcement code of ethics
of the International Association of Chiefs and Police
the International Association of Chiefs of Police
as my standard of conduct
as my standard of conduct
while on and off duty,
while on and off duty,
and swear to faithfully abide by the same.
and
To
swear
faithfully abide by and defend the same. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Down to come.
I was told I shouldn't want to go to paradise.
Go, Sharp, go.
Sharp.
Go.
Yeah,
Of course.
What about the other lady?
Officer Burrell, if you want to come up, of
Yes.
course. I can't see any, I don't know.
It's
what-
Officer Sandy Owen and
Officer
Rivera.
Owens?
You gotta squeeze in.
Or maybe we call it go stand back.
You need to, yeah, stand, yeah.
Okay.
You can get, no, you can go here.
You go.
Sandy and Owens, you guys are, you
All
know,
right.
you're guys, okay. Can you see us all?
River, go over there so we can balance it out a little bit, no?
Oh, I can see you okay. I'm good. We're good.
I might have to have, Anders, you might have to stand behind.
Let's just get a little close, let's get a little close. We're okay. You're good. You're good. The police officers are here that came to support. If you want to come up and take a picture, please do. And any family for that matter, come up and support. But we'll get one with all the police officers first. You might need to balance it here a little.
Balance over here, you-
Over here, boys.
Chief, you want to stay on this side?
Now, we won't need you, you're all gonna come, right?
Whenever he needs us.
All right.
They're fine.
Suck it in, guys, suck it in.
It's hard holding my breath this long.
Wait, I'm gonna get in there.
You gotta squeeze it.
Okay, I'm gonna. Thank you.
Still got it, still got it.
Let me take a picture. No, I'll take a picture. No, you can get in. Get in, get in. I'll take you in it. The wife must support. We need your support.
This lady right here is asking for a picture.
All right. Smile. Get in. We need a balance there. Huh? Very nice. Okay.
Okay. You were asking for the picture. I had them here. Okay.
I got it. Here. You know, pictures.
She's
Okay.
from Representative Dottie Jensen's
Very
office,
nice.
so representing Dottie Jensen, our state.
Thank you for coming. No problem. Congratulations again. Congratulations again.
Rosa,
Oh,
did you take one with us, Dave?
Of course.
Dave, just take one more with
yeah, yeah.
Rosa? Okay, all right. I mean,
I would like to say just a couple words real quick. First of all, first and foremost, I want to thank Ms. Alou for having the confidence and faith in me. Thank you. On a personal, little slightly different note, I've been through this process before in another state, and the only person there for travel reasons was my wife. So I have to say, and I have to look at everybody here to come full circle and see family and friends, colleagues who I count among friends, to be here. It's really, really special. So I want to thank everybody as well for being here. And I know everybody came with a really full heart and a lot of good wishes, well, at least most of them. And that being said, again, it's magnificent, and thank you, and I'm really looking forward to working with each and every one of you. And again, Councilman, congratulations to you too.
All right, thank you again. Congratulations and welcome to our new councilperson and to Chief Magnuson. I'm going to be saying that a lot, so I can make sure that I pronounce that correctly. With that said, we're going to go right into good and welfare. Anybody would like to come up at this time in good and welfare? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to go to the first agenda item, which is a legislative update. Legislative update, for those of you who are new with us, is what's happening in Tallahassee with regards to any legislative action bills that we may have there. I do have this written out, so I will be sure that the clerk sends it to the entire council and of course the manager. I literally received this 2 hours before the meeting from our lobbying team. So there are 3 weeks left before the session ends. Most of the House and Senate committees have either stopped meeting for purposes of just hearing bills. The only remaining committee meetings are the appropriation committees. The hearing bills that impact the budget in some way or are required before the bill can go to respective chamber. Basically what this means is most bills are dying or already dead without ever being heard or only being heard in a committee at one time. Still alive are the bills such as hurricane relief bills, Marjorie Stoneman school security bill, and the priority bills being pushed by either the state Senate president or the House Speaker. Unfortunately, this includes some of the local government preemption bills dealing with vacation rentals, local tax referendum, and growth management that our team is diligently working to protect our home rule. Some highlights of the bills that are generally impact upon Floridians are driving while distracted lawmaking. It's a primary offense for texting while driving, meaning a law enforcement officer can now stop someone if they are suspected of texting while driving. Their second bill is a ban on fracking for oil or natural gas extraction. Continues to permit a specific kind of method called matrix acidizing, which dissolves rock rather than high pressure methods, which are also banned in the bill. School safety bills that would allow classroom teachers to be armed by giving more flexibility to the school districts that want to participate in the controversial Guardian program, and expanding mental health services in schools to assist students with suicidal intentions, trauma, and violence. Lastly, Hurricane Michael relief efforts in the Panhandle, which total close to $500 million out of the proposed budget proposal in just one Senate bill. Both the House and Senate have passed their respective budgets last week. Governor DeSantis had submitted a proposed $91.3 billion budget for the legislature to consider. Neither the House nor Senate budget proposals reached that high watermark. The Florida Senate is proposing a total spending of $90.3 billion, while the House passed an $89.9 billion budget proposal. The $400 million difference, in addition to how the dollars will be spent, will ultimately be resolved in the annual exercise called the Budget Conference, which is what El Portal comes in which designated conferees represented each chamber meet in the closing days of the session to basically hammer out their differences towards the final agreement. To date, no budget conferences have been announced, and no indication as to when the budget conference will begin has been given to either chamber. However, budget conference is likely to start April 22nd or April 23rd. Session ends Friday, May 3rd, meaning the budget must be completed and distributed by sometime on April 30th in order to meet the midnight deadline to end session on time. Missing from either the House or Senate proposals is the project funding for El Portal. The village submitted 2 requests, one for the critically important sewer connection to the county system along Northeast 2nd Avenue, and the other to complete the flood mitigation project in the El Jardín area. While it is far more difficult to accomplish, every task is being made to include some funding for at least one of the 2 projects. During the budget conference negotiations, if new projects are added, which is anticipated, El Portal has a fighting chance to be included at that time. Sincerely has been submitted by Richard Pinsky, Eddie Gonzalez, and Eli Nortelius. And I emailed the clerk this today to print, so I'll make sure that you all get it as well. And it'll be included with the minutes. Then any questions on it from the council? With that said, H2 is an agenda item that Councilperson Mathis asked to please add, and I will, 85,000.
This is with regards to the pending negotiations between Pinelli and ourselves with regards to the 85,000 that they are requesting. Robert, could you come up for me? We don't want to be de-obligated with regards to any monies that we can get from the state. So I thought it was important that we asked for the money, we sign off for the money. We don't have to do anything with it, we can hold on to it. I just want it to look good to the state that we're not giving back money. It looks better that we take the money. And with Norman and Pannoni going through the negotiations, because we are not actually taking the $85,000 and giving it back, we're just saying that, you know what, it's a possibility that we're going to use it. We're putting you on notice that we want it so we don't lose our chance. That's right.
Yes, sir. Robert Rono, 1544 Mercy Avenue.
So the $85,000 we're talking about is the money we owe Pannoni?
No.
Okay, so just a little clarity.
Can I-
If I may,
Because I know it's a similar amount.
okay, I know Robert will describe it in better detail, but I can explain it this way. The $85,000 was requested of FDP to pay Pannoni the additional $85,000. We did not sign off on that. We didn't even really move that because we still were in negotiations with Pannoni. We're still there in negotiations. We haven't decided, but that money is still waiting. And FDP says, well, we're going to de-obligate it and put it back. So we don't know what we're going to end up doing with it or how much money we'll end up working with Pannoni, working that out. But we want to have it just in case we need it. And we don't have to use it.
Okay, so the $85,000 that's currently obligated is for an item that they have not done yet?
No, it's an additional funding because we've used all of the money that we got from the state. This is additional funding.
Yes.
For
that
continuation
same-
of the project?
No, for the project.
Right, this is the 85,000 that was for the continuation, what they called out-of-scope work that we were discussing at the last Public Works Committee meeting. And then there was a back and forth in terms, I think it had come down to 45,000, some sort of agreement. Is that correct? And then we didn't agree.
I need clarity because I missed that Public Works and I want to recap. So if the money is obligated by the state to be able to pay Pannoni, is that what's considered the loan that El Patel will have to pay 20% of? Because I guess the question I have is that if we owe Pannoni that money and the state is obligated to pay it, why are we paying it?
And I think that.
Okay, and that's where I need
Let me
clarity.
clarify. Okay, we have, the village has a loan agreement with the state. There's two parts. The first part is the loan that has to be paid back. The initial loan that was provided was for $435,000. Then we got a grant for $348,000, we don't have to pay back. When the issue came up with Pannoni concerning the outer scope of additional work, I don't know who made the application, who made the request, but I believe
Elias.
Steve Elias from Pannoni went back to the state and requested what would be called an allowance to the loan agreement, which would be to add additional funds that the village could tap into, if necessary, up to $85,000 to pay for the out-of-scope work that they did. So what the best way to look at it is we're just basically increasing the loan amount just in case we have to pay additional funds to Pannoni, which as it stands right now, we did reach a agreement in principle, but that kind of got sideways at the committee meeting because at that point in time, Pannoni advised us that if the site changed in any way, even if it was in the same location, that they would expect further compensation for doing that. So the directive was, okay, let's not do anything further in terms of authorizing work with Pannoni until we've actually secured the actual location from the school board and that we're firm with that. So in terms of where we are with the negotiations with Pannoni, we have a number in principle that we agreed to, but until we lock down the site, the directive is not to move any further with Pannoni. Having said that, I think it's incumbent upon us to talk about, or the council talk about, whether or not it would be practical to have the money in the bullpen just in case we have to pay Pannoni additional funds for the out-of-scope services. This is one of those things, if we don't accept it, it'll just be lost.
Yeah.
According to Councilman
Yeah.
Mathis.
And I spoke to, and the manager asked me to reach out to the state to confirm everything, and I spoke to Tim Banks from the state on Monday. Yesterday. So essentially is this, so they have the 85,000 amount, it's kind of open. If we sign it and execute it, that just means, okay, they're gonna keep it open, that 85, and then at the point that we sign the agreement, or whatever agreement we sign with Pannoni, then we would increase that amount, let's say it's 40,000 and not 85, and then we would increase it by 45. The reason the only reason it's kind of important is so it would, if we do not obligate it by the May meeting that the state has, they will close it out. They'll say, okay, well, you don't need it. Okay, we don't need it, so they'll open it up back again in August. Okay, so our goal is obviously between now and August for the school district to agree to a site, and if then they can agree to a site, we can restart the conversation with Pannoni to get to some sort of agreement. So if we didn't do that, then we would have to go to August and waste all those months. Let's say tomorrow the school district says, and we say, no, we don't want the 85, close it out. Pannoni, tomorrow they say, here's the site location. Well, we can't finalize with Pannoni until August, because Pannoni's going to say, wait a minute, you don't have money even obligated to pay us because it was canceled out. So this is just says to the state, hold on to that money for us, and whatever amount we will need, we will draw down, and then you'll do a loan agreement based on that amount. Okay?
And also for my colleagues, I will be attending the school board meeting tomorrow. I'm on the agenda tomorrow at 6:30, so.
One more point of clarity, and I apologize, this is redundant. So to be clear, the money that's obligated cannot be used for the monies that we potentially owe Pannoni right now, right? Because we supposedly owe him money for the design project that's not complete, correct?
Well,
And
okay, that's a way of saying it. I don't want to say it that way, but they've got paid everything.
Okay.
But they have 8% left in the project to complete in terms of the design.
And that's, okay, got it.
So this could potentially be used to
Got
pay
it.
for that.
Okay, that's what I
But that is contingent upon whatever the negotiation is once the land is identified.
Perfect.
Right. If you go back to them, you could sign this and then go back to the state and say, you know what, we only want 30 or 20 or 10, and then that's all you would draw down.
And one more question for Public Works. So let's say that the conversations continue and Public Works is not happy with the avenue that Pannoni is going with regards to the project, and that's a possibility from what I'm hearing. Is there the ability legally to be able to explore with another firm, or are we tied to Pannoni? I know that's another conversation. Have you guys had that, or are we there yet?
I don't recall any of those.
I had that conversation with the representative, the engineer from CAP, and he said it would almost be impossible for another engineer to come in at this point without having to recreate everything from scratch, because they, their signature and their seal, their license is going to be on the line. So we kind of have to finish this part with Pannoni.
The
We're kind of
design
stuck.
phase. So it's not to say the streets or the...
No,
Got it.
it's just the design.
Yeah,
Got it.
thank you.
Any questions? Can you let us know how that goes?
Well, I have to make a motion for us to go ahead and approve this so we can,
Okay, Yolanda, go
so we're
ahead.
not de-obligated.
Any questions before he requests a motion from the council?
Just one matter, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Matt, Councilman Matt, for bringing this to us. All right, so if we earmark, so this 85,000 would be like an earmark, basically. And so if we, let's say if we go through and negotiations aren't going well, and we earmark these 85,000, there's nothing in it to where if it doesn't get used within like a certain amount of time, how long would it be earmarked?
In the fiscal year.
All right, so by the end of the fiscal year, if it doesn't get used, we're not, there's no penalty.
No.
Or it's just a, it's a
They
it's a
just
regular
don't, they just
government
don't want it to be sitting there without them being able to use it somewhere else.
I just didn't want anything where like, oh, well, we earmarked it for you guys didn't use it, we could have used this,
Right.
we could have earmarked it somewhere else, therefore you guys have to pay a penalty for holding the office.
No, they were actually very nice. They're like, okay, you want it or not, just tell us.
That's my only question. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's
Okay. And is it this fiscal year or the incoming?
I'm sorry, what is?
Do we have to use it by the end of this fiscal?
Oh,
year?
no, not at all. No. No, it's that in their fiscal year,
Oh, in their fiscal.
in their
year.
fiscal
Okay, got it,
year.
got it, got it.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. We don't have to use it in this. No, as a matter of fact, we don't start paying the loan until after construction is done, so that won't be till 2021 probably.
Okay, got it.
Any other questions for either Robert or Councilperson Mathis or the manager?
I just had one general question. With the setting aside of this 85,000, is there anything in terms of the loan agreement that is different than the other amount, the original loan amount? Are the same terms essentially is what I'm asking?
Well, I think that it will be a little bit tighter because the village attorney has been involved with it and didn't like the way the agreements were going previously. So I think that it will be the same terms, but it'll just be a little tighter on the engineer, and I'll let him specifically.
You asked about the village's agreement with Benoni or the village's agreement with the state?
With the state.
Well, yeah, with the state, the changes would be the loan amount. And there would be a service fee, an additional service fee. I'd have to look back, but I think it's about $1,700 overall for the service fee. And obviously the total amount would be capitalized on a larger principal, so there'd be a small annual percentage payback based upon the interest rate. But I don't have that in front of me.
That's good. That answers my question.
Welcome, Council. Congratulations.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, do you need to make a motion?
Motion to contact, I forget their acronym,
FDEP?
FDAP, for the 85,000.
Motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis to be able to contact FDEP with regards to ensuring that the 85,000 are obligated to the village of El Portal.
I'm sorry, I can contact them, but we need to sign an agreement. That's what I think this is about, the agreement with FDP. Is that contacting?
Well,
Like, should we be specific?
Okay, so
We
give me
have
one.
to do
minute.
it should be, it should be that the manager authorized to sign that agreement
Okay.
without drawing down the funds. So,
So just signing an amendment or two.
I need to amend the motion, or can I scratch it?
I think you could simply state a motion to direct the village manager to take whatever steps or actions necessary to secure the
DOP.
$5,000 additional funding from federal, from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
That's my motion.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis, directed by the verbiage made by the village attorney. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second been made by Councilperson Roman. Any questions? Madam Clerk, do you think that the recording got what the attorney said? Okay. All in favor say yay?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, hearing none, the manager has the authority to be able to contact FDP and execute the agreement as accordingly with the approval of the attorney. Just making sure it's,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to go right into village reports. I do not have a written report like I did last month, and I only have one thing that I want to discuss briefly with the entire council, especially because we have a new member up here. In the last two council meetings, I have asked or really try to encourage the committee chairs to start doing a summary report. The reason the summary report is important is because none of us really probably reads all of the minutes to the committees unless we're in it or unless we are chairing it. As a result, with that, we can't really be in tune with what's going on and how are we going to be prepared. But even more so than that, I wanted to be able to take those reports with the correct and updated tracking report and actually start putting it on the website. I've only received it for Councilperson Roman and no one else on the dais. This is really a service to us, and it's really a service to the residents in terms of being able to know what happens at the village committee, because most of the time, by the time a topic gets here, it has been completely gone through one or two committees. So by the time it comes to the council meeting, we're on like the third or fourth time listening to an item, whereas the residents are going to be like, well, why are you guys making a decision when, this is the first time I'm hearing it? So if there's a way that you all can start recapping it, and the great part about that is that you can use it for your newsletter article. So if we can get a recap, I was waiting for today to bring that up again. If I don't get it, I'm just, I'm going to ask the website just to put the icon up there with regards to, and have a drop button so that everybody hits committees. The report will come down in the accurate tracking report by Robert. Again, this is just really for us to have a better plan and for us to be able to better track what we're doing so we don't forget or things don't fall through the cracks. I think at the last council meeting, I was not here, and I sent out this email, and the clerk responded, and then she sent a list of everything that's going to go to the next meeting. Things like that just really help us with follow through. So if all of us can really follow that in terms of like, do a summary, there's one committee you chair. So that's the committee that is basically your responsibility in terms of being sure that the council knows what's going on, the residents know what's going on, but more importantly, that you know what's going on, and you're able to convey that message and work with the manager, whether it's public safety, whether it's code enforcement, whether it's public work, whether it's planning and zoning, or whether it's public affairs. That's an administration and finance. So you chair one committee, and the goal is to be able to do everything that happens in that committee, bring it to the manager, work with the attorney, whatever it is you have to do, so by the time it gets to the committee, then it gets to the council, we're much more squared away and prepared to be able to make better and educated decisions. So I wanted to kind of reiterate that, especially with the new member up here. Councilperson Erbem, I did get from the clerk your request for committees. I will be sending out the memo with the additions, adding you on to some of the committees. You may not get everything you request, but you are going to chair code enforcement because that's where Warner was at. So I'm basically not going to change too much. I'm going to keep it pretty much the way it was, and wherever Warner's name was, I'll be putting you in there unless there's an incredibly committee you want to be in, and then we'll take a look at that. But committees are changed every December, and it's generally designated by the mayor. So please, again, just be mindful of the committees because, as I think the attorney uses word, it's basically where we workshop a lot of agenda items. So if I'm not in that committee, I may not attend that night, and I'm not going to have an idea what happened unless I read, 6, 7, 8, or 10 pages of the minutes, when basically you just slip it in a paragraph. So that's the only thing on my report that I wanted to be able to, go ahead, I'm going to put that in writing for the May report. And since the committees that are not on here, I wanted to know if any of you on your committees wanted to be able to, needed to say anything about your committees.
Well, I haven't submitted mine yet because I had the meeting with the school board, so I wanted to do it all in one swoop. But I will be meeting with the school board tomorrow. So.
Okay. So by Friday, maybe. Well, Friday's the deadline anyway for the newsletter.
Well, I'll probably have it after the meeting.
Anybody wanted to speak on behalf of their committees? I know you have admin and finance, you have public affairs, you have public works, code enforcement. We'll be gentle on you this time around.
I'll be submitting also for code enforcement.
Okay.
I did do one for code enforcement.
Yeah.
And then make sure he gets, did you need to say anything?
No, yeah, very quickly. So normally for the council, full council meetings, just so that you know also, councilperson, the CFO is usually here, and we usually get a like kind of checkup on the finances. The reason why they're not here tonight is because tomorrow they're starting the audit. So they were here briefly earlier, and then just to get ready, and then tomorrow's when they're going to be here like non-stop. So that's the reason why, just for this particular council meeting, for every council meeting after this, we'll be back to normal.
I got the report in an email, so.
We'll have it, yeah, that's fine.
Does that complete your report?
Yes.
For admin and finance? Anybody else? Public affairs?
Just wanted to advise everyone that the Easter egg hunt will not be taking place. We were short in resources and the time came very quickly. We're going to allocate the $1,000 to the website for the AD, what is it? I just went blank.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
ADA compliance?
ADA compliance,
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'll review that with our finance team because I think we already had that money for that. Like we didn't have a.
Yeah, but the money that allocated is for her monthly fees.
Right.
She sends you a bill at the end of the year generally.
There's some,
Okay.
but let me review with that because could maybe use for something else.
Okay, well, I mean, it'll
You never
be,
know.
yeah, so
Let's
we're,
review the budget first.
because we were a little bit, we cut back on our budget this year, I just
Yes.
wanted to make sure that the money is there, is allocated, and because the website falls under public affairs, that was an area where and the proposal that came in for ADA was $1,000. We are moving forward with the 5K. We did have a sponsor that was committed to that, so we are moving forward. The planning is in the works, and the village manager is assisting me. I asked her to get to Councilperson Mathis for some information that's required so that I can move forward. And it looks like we are having a resident who will design the T-shirts. He's an artist and he lives on 90th Street. So more on that as we go.
Okay, great. Public affairs, public works, code enforcement, anything?
Code enforcement? What is, oh, you wanted to committee meeting. Carlos is doing a code enforcement suite, and I will get all that information over to the new code enforcement chair.
I went, Constance, did you want to say something?
No.
Oh. I went to, two more things that I want to say. So I went to an event in Miami Gardens, and I met Miss Peterson. She bought the home in Northwest 91st Street. I just wanted to put on the record. The home at 91st, that's Northwest 1st Avenue, that's completely dilapidated. The room is caved in. I met the owner, and they will start renovations on the home in the next couple of weeks or so. So when I was introduced, she came up to me at the end, and I was like, oh, that's great. Really, really nice. She bought the home probably maybe 6-7 months ago, and they're going to start working on it in the next couple of months. So I thought that would be great. I wanted to please remind the council that Saturday, May 4th is the installation gala for the Miami-Dade League of Cities. I know I've sent 2 emails out for each of you to please, it's been sold out for a while, so they're getting really particular with names. So please, 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 if you have a +1, just who the name is. The other reason being is because if there is room in the table, I was going to extend it to the new chief. I was going to, talk to you about extending it to anybody else in the village. So with that said, if we can really get that deadline, I believe the deadline in the email says Friday the 19th. I've gotten confirmation from Councilperson Roman. I've gotten confirmation from the clerk. Norman has his own table. I really have not gotten confirmation. The clerk gave me some confirmation from you and some from the manager, but if you all can really put it in writing, because it's going to be, it's going to go directly to them once I receive it. I believe the clerk has already advised you, so you just let her know if you're going, and it's with Sidra, and then.
And I sent an email too because the league wants the names
Oh, yes,
too.
yes.
I sent one, I think, yesterday. Yeah, that they want to make sure.
Okay, so, with that said, I implore you to please, please, please be mindful of that. There is, a few things upset me, but when we take the time to go to events and there's empty seats, it's just not a good sign. It's an opportunity to invite a resident. It's an opportunity, which I actually have a table of residents going, a few. So with that said, I don't want empty seats. I really, 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 really don't want empty seats. So please, if you can't use it, you're not going to use it, it's okay. We'll be able to fill it up with somebody else from El Portal. It's not going to be anybody else. It'll be somebody from El Portal. Any questions about that? No? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move over to our manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, new councilperson Urban. I'm going to be very brief. I provided our council with my manager's report, but if others are interested, please do contact my office and you're welcome to receive it. As you know, we hired a brand new police chief after many months of vetting and interviews and discussions. We swore in Chief David Magnuson this evening, and I'm really looking forward to working with him. He's already given me some good ideas about what he wants to do with the department, and he and I are working on an article for the newsletter that, in fact, it's ready. We'll just submit one of the photos from tonight with that, but the article is done. So I'm excited to have the community get to know him as well, and to see him work with our staff, who, by the way, have been doing a very good job in holding down the fort and making sure we move forward. Sadly, we did lose one of our full-time police officers Officer Alejandro Martinez resigned maybe 2 weeks after he was sworn in. So I'm sorry that he had personal issues that he cited for his reasons for leaving. So now we have a full-time position open, and I will work with the new chief in securing a person that he too can participate in the hiring of. But we continue to work on our priorities within the department with Acting Chief Sharp and Officer Burrell kind of leading some of the initiatives or just taking care of some of these things. In fact, we worked on the background check application, which is very detailed and precise, so they've been working on that, and as well as identifying new staff. We've also interviewed 4 new reserve officers. We did that on April, I think it was 2nd or 3rd, and all 4 were pretty good. 3 of them were women. So we're happy to get that kind of interest in our department, and we will continue with reserve interviews as well as the full-time position that we will be looking for filling as well. And we did win our labor case that stemmed from some labor issues from many years ago. Finally went to trial, and we got a directed verdict on that this week, which is good, or last week, which is good news. We continue to work on our administrative matters in terms of fine-tuning the way we track and the way we keep our routines within the administration documented, and we're staying on task with that. Let's see here, I'm going to try to speed through. We will be working on the village's comprehensive plan with Proservia. We have Proservia met with me and the mayor last week to discuss some of the processes that need to take place for us to update that comprehensive plan, and they're envisioning something that looks like the charrettes from 2012, 2013. So stay tuned for meetings that will that we are asking the community to come out and participate in, so that we can update our comprehensive plan and move the village forward with that new and with new development that we are envisioning for our city. And we continue to work on our land agreement, or trying to obtain that so that we can move forward with our sewer line. We had good meetings in Tallahassee with the mayor and with Councilperson Mathis and myself, and we will continue to work through our lobbyists to try to get some funding for our sewer line on Northeast 2nd Avenue and the stormwater project. And lastly, I'll just mention that I guess we are working on ADA compliance for our village website, and we are about 2 weeks away from completion, give or take a few days. Sarah Gerber is working on that now, and then we will be entertaining proposals, or I will be seeking proposals to just update the entire site altogether, but that will be a more timely process. But in the meantime, we hope to be ADA compliant by the end of this month. So that concludes my report, and if anyone has any questions, please do contact my office.
The only question I have and with ADA, and I guess for you and Norman, is at the last meeting that I was at with the Florida League, the other thing that was brought up besides the website is the video of the meetings. These are put up on the website without so it's something that we need to take a look at, because that's the other thing coming down the pipes with regards to hitting up the cities that don't have that. And it started in North Florida. So what some of them have done, which really kills our transparency, but they've taken all of the videos off the website until they are able to make it compliant, so that it mitigates the town, the city, or the village getting sued for not being compliant. But that's just one more thing to take a look at that's coming down the pipes as well.
Okay.
Our attorney, Norman Powell.
I'll just keep it brief. The main focus this past month has been to look at the future developments that are proposed for the village, with the focus of looking at whether or not we should amend our code to provide for impact fees. And we've looked at that with Proservia, the consultants, and we're opting, at least for the first project that's coming online, to utilize the development agreement, which would give us more flexibility in terms of passing a document that would be encompassing impact fees and also getting additional, I'd say, perks for the village for policing and infrastructure. So I've had conversations, I think I sent out an email today, with the developer's attorney, and so we should be expecting to get back in the next few days a proposed development agreement which will come back to the Planning and Zoning Committee for the council's consideration and input as we move forward with that project.
Okay. Any questions from the council to either the manager or the attorney or anything else? Hearing none, there's no unfinished business. The only reminder again, I know we all got the email, the newsletter article, Councilperson Anders, it's due on Friday.
Okay.
If you want to go to the welcome, what have you,
Sure.
you can just email it to the clerk.
You got it.
Sorry. Any new business? Oh, any new business? Okay, hearing none. Anybody from Good and Welfare? I want to congratulate Jennifer. Jennifer also ran for office. Congratulations on such a hard job. Nice to see you at the first meeting. Very nice. Hugh, please, of course. It's been a long time. Hugh, nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited about this wonderful election. You know, it's just like democracy works. No, I mean, just made me feel so good about the village, the enthusiasm and everything of these guys. So anyway, but I do have something to ask about and say about, which is Little River cleanup, which happens every year. I don't know if Kristen McLean has talked to anybody about it, but we're kind of been in a bind this year because we've been behind. We have to set a date, which we did, to start coordinating, but it's like not the best date. I know it conflicts on May 4th with the event you talked about, but we do feel it's very important to do, simply because like everybody expects it, it's very important for like following up on the incredible meeting that the mayor and Kristen organized, and it's an opportunity for us to coordinate informally with the planning that's going on for the canal and the county resilience offices, and particularly the city of Miami. But we're kind of realizing that this is sort of last minute and things are tight. So we're kind of wanting to, I mean, our plan, you know, we've gone ahead and like worked with a water management district, and I don't know what's going on at the village, but we kind of feel like this is not a time to like ask for the village to contribute funds or anything. We're gonna do it. I mean, this is my thinking of it, but we're gonna do it on a kind of low-key basis, in the sense of, you know, people who we will raise money on our own ahead of time, so that people who want us to rent canoes can do so, but we will, you know, they'll pay us a small fee there to do it. We'll handle it, you know, and other people will bring their own. But I think it's very important to have it. This is kind of like the only day that worked out for everybody to schedule it. So I really apologize for this, Kristen. I mean, she's been really busy, and I know she's been helping a lot with a lot of things, and Adam is incredibly busy. So, but we really want to do it on that date. So I just, I'm letting you know that.
So you all are going to do it May 4th?
May 4th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So anyway, thank you.
May 4th, the Little River cleanup. 7 o'clock, generally 7 o'clock, 7:30, they meet up.
You?
9
a.m.
Is there a flyer? Do you guys
Saturday.
have a flyer? Because you guys usually do have a flyer.
What?
Do you have a flyer? I know
Yeah,
somebody does.
Kristen and I are meeting on Saturday. We're gonna get like everything to you that you need for the village, and the website and all our usual stuff and our list of people and everything, so.
And here, we do have some money allocated for that, so we are able to contribute.
Okay, if you can, that's wonderful, but we didn't want to come in at this point, having the thing depend on, I mean,
Should
of
I
course.
contact you or Kristen to discuss that?
She's like the business sensible person in this, please.
Perfect, all right. So
Yeah,
I'll touch-
but we'll be in touch if you need sooner, otherwise for sure after we meet on it Saturday, so.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so
You got
much.
it, May 4th, Little River Cleanout, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Anybody else in good and welfare?
Good evening, Liliana Pico, 1A1 Northwest 87th Street. Congratulations. Do we have an Easter egg hunt? Council members?
No,
Mayor?
we do not.
Okay, why?
We did not have the proper resources to put it together in such a short time.
Okay, you had January 1st through now to do it.
We don't have employees or a committee that handles events.
Okay, how about armed forces events that is happening? Do we have
That's happening.
enough people to help with that?
That is an event that's pretty much done the same every year. So all the resources
So
are
is
already-
Easter egg hunt as well? It's a family-filled event.
Correct, but that is not done equally the same every year, and there's a different chair.
Okay, so it was in the budget. What are we doing with that money?
I'm going to say two things. I think one of the things we talked about at the council meeting are a couple of things. So good and welfare is not a time to quiz or ask the council. That's really where you email. It's most appropriate. I'm going to go ahead and we will answer the questions, but good and welfare is not. Good and welfare is really to state issues, but to go back.
Okay, I will email the council.
Councilperson Roman discussed this in the committee already, and there was an ADA compliance that came in that's going to cost us some money that we did not have planned. That has come down the pipes since January. It's probably going to cost us anywhere about $1,000. So instead of using the $1,000 for the East Aircon, we're going to pay.
Can we not take that from the armed forces event, which is, what is it, 2,000 budgeted versus 1,000 for the Easter egg hunt event?
Other than that, anything else?
No, thank you.
Any other questions in good and welfare? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
All motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made by Councilperson Roman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Mathis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The meeting adjourned at 8:07 PM.